Hello everyone, hope you are doing healthy and well. Welcome to another video. So today we are going to look into the EC2 launch and the complete 7 steps leading up to the launch, and the description of all the steps, all the individual steps leading up to the launch. We are also going to be looking at the pricing models, the tenancy models, as well as we are going to look at the user data, right? That will help us to configure our instances beforehand. So in the region Mumbai, which I am currently using, there are other regions as well for my account, but in this region I don't have any instances. So let us go ahead and create an instance. So the first step that would lead us to the launch of the instance is the Amazon machine image. So in here we need to choose an AMI for an instance, which will act as a template that will provide us the software configuration required to launch our instance, which will include operating system, application server, and other applications. So there are various categories in the AMIs. So one is the normal or the basic quick start, where we will be provided with all the official AMIs, and some of are free tier eligible, but some are not, right? So we need to choose our cost efficiency plan or our requirement, and then go ahead and choose something which may be under or may not be under the free tier category. So we have other sections as well. The my AMI section, if we come down to this section, it basically consists of the AMIs that I have created for my personal use. So I haven't created any AMIs as of now, so that is why there is no AMIs present in this section. So if you create an AMI, that will be present in this section, which will be for your personal use. We also have AWS Marketplace that provides us with third-party appliances, and based on our requirements we can choose these AMIs. So we have got DevOps, we have got infrastructure software, IoT, machine learning, and so on and so forth. So if we go ahead and choose something which will provide us the AMIs related to the category, for example DevOps and application stacks, so the AMIs would be related to the categories, and these are all the third-party AMIs. Then we can go ahead for community AMIs, which are created by people who want to do something for the community and have created AMIs for us that we can use. So as of now, based on my requirement, as I don't need something specific, I'm just going to go with the free tier eligible Amazon Linux 2 AMI. So the next step would be to choose our instance type. So in here we have to understand a requirement, and accordingly we have to choose an instance type. For example, we want something which is memory optimized, so I have to go for something which provides me a lot of RAM, or something which is storage optimized, so something related to storage I have to look into, or something that is provides a lot of computational power, so the number of CPUs provided. So these are the configuration that I have to look into, and understanding our requirements based on memory, storage, or compute, or networking capabilities, we need to choose our instance type. So as of my requirement as of now, I just need to show a demo, so I'll go with the T2 micro, as well as it is under the free tier eligible criteria, so it won't cost me any money. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this AMI. Next comes the configure instance details. So in here we have to understand requirements and accordingly configure an instance. So we can launch multiple instances from the same AMI. I also request spot instances, which will be looking into the pricing model. So first we have to decide the number of count. So we can go for 5, we can go for 8, we can go for 10, we can choose any number as we want, and we can launch the number of instances required for AMI. So for this purpose as well, we can launch ASG, which is an auto scaling group that will help us to create our instances based on the conditions provided. We can scale in and scale out as well, and associated with an load balancer, which also provide us with load balancer capabilities. So as of now, I'm just going to create one instance, and we'll move forward into the purchasing model, so purchasing options, right? So in here we can request spot instances, and as we can see, the spot instances price are going around decimal 0037, which is which is 90% discounts provided by AWS and is very cheap. So the spot instances are very cheap to acquire and use, but one of the main you can say advantage is that it will be provided at very low cost, right? So one drawback also as well for spot instances would be that if we have used or acquired spot instances, that can be we need to terminate it, or AWS might terminate it just giving 2 minutes of prior warning, because spot instances are the spare resources in the AWS infrastructure, and sometimes they need to be used. So whenever they are required to be used and they need to we are accessing it, they can be taken from us with 2 minutes of prior warning. So anything that requires 100% uptime, we should not go for this spot instances. So we have different pricing models as well. So if you go to the AWS pricing docs, we can see the pay as you go criteria, or the pay as you go category, and in this it based on whatever we use, we have to pay for that. So this is the normal pay as you go model that cloud uses. We also have the save when you reserve, which is that if we want to reserve some configuration or some infrastructure for us, we can get discount based on that from AWS. So if I am going for 1 year no upfront, means I'll pay as I go, then I'll get 32% savings. For example, on demand $955 per year, and if I'm going for so I'll pay around $650 per year, so I'll get 32% savings on that. So for partial upfront, so if I'm paying something and the rest I'll pay later, for that I'll be paying around $554, which will be around 42% savings. But the best out of the lot is 1 year all upfront, which will give me a 43% savings, and which will cost around $545 per year. So there is another category to this as well. So pay less by using more is one of the other categories, and which says that if we use something dedicated just for us and we use it in a lot of volume, so AWS will provide us a lot of discount for that, which means that for services at S3 and data transfer out EC2, pricing is tiered, meaning the more you use, the less you pay per GB. So means more the consumption it is, AWS will provide us with much greater discount. So as your requirement, you can choose the pricing model. Also you can go for spot instances or for dedicated instances based on your requirement. So the network would be the default VPC, which you'd be using as of now. Subnet, I can choose any of the subnet based on my region or my VPC in my region. So I'll go for subnet 1A, and if you want to assign some public IP, you can assign it. Otherwise it's basically default enable, but if you don't have any requirement to be connecting with the internet, or for example, which is there will be very few requirements like that, because if you want to connect to your instance, you require internet connectivity, right? So you can later assign the public IP as well, but if you want to assign the public IP beforehand, then you should go for the auto assign public IP enabled. And the placement group, it defines that if you want to it provides you that if you want your requirement is something like this, that you want the instances to be closely related so that they communicate with one another very efficiently, so you create a placement group accordingly. But if you want something to be more multi-AZ kind of architecture, and you want to deploy your instances across multiple AZ, so accordingly you can also create your placement group. There is also known as capacity reservation, as we saw in the pricing model, that you want to reserve something beforehand, your capacity, right? So this as of now are not that important. IAM role, you can create IAM user and accordingly use the IAM. Also you can create an IAM role, accordingly use the IAM role. You also have the provision of creating the resources or the services from here as well. Coming down to shutdown behavior, shutdown behavior mainly relates to whenever you stop or terminate the instance, will the instance shut down or completely terminate. So basically it says that if you shut down the instance, will it stop the instance, or if you choose terminate, it will completely terminate the instance. So if you terminate the instance completely, you cannot use it again. So if you want to use your instance on and off, you can go for the stop option along with the shutdown. Then we come to the Hibernate option. Hibernate is resembles to same as that of the laptop hibernation that you use. For example, it resembles to the sleep option that we have in laptop. So if you're working on something, we need a small break, we can hibernate the instance, and as we load the instance one again, whatever we are working on will still be there running. So we can also create enable termination protection. So if somebody by accident goes and accidentally tries to terminate the instance, they will get some warning so that they won't be able to terminate the instance from the API or the AWS management console until the protection has been disabled. So we can choose this according to a requirement. If you don't want an instance to be terminated, we can select protection against accidental termination, right? And later, if you want the instance to be terminated, we can go ahead and disable the function. Then we can go as well for the monitoring, which is the CloudWatch monitoring. So if we will provide it with a free basic level monitoring by the AWS CloudWatch, which is a monitoring service of AWS. But if we want to go for a detailed monitoring, so in that scenario we need to enable this option, right? So as of now we don't require such heavy monitoring, so I am not going to choose this option. So coming down to the tenancy model, in here we will look into the tenancy model. So we have got shared tenancy. So for this we need to understand a few things as of how the cloud works and AWS works. So in AWS it works on top of hardware, and on top of there is a hypervisor. So the instances that we launch on AWS are the instances that are launched on top of the hypervisor, right? So we can go for a shared tenancy where we'll be providing and launching instances that will be shared by other clients as well. They can launch the instance on the same hypervisor. So if we don't have any compliance based on that, so we can use this shared tenancy. But if we have some compliance regarding dedicated hypervisor or dedicated host or dedicated hardware, so in that case we will go ahead and choose dedicated tenancy, right? So in dedicated tenancy, our instance will be the only instance running on the hypervisor, so there will be no other instance on that hypervisor, right? So in this scenario we don't require something like dedicated, so we'll be going for shared tenancy, right? So if you want to learn more about AWS tenancy, you can go ahead and browse this link. This will give you a complete understanding of the dedicated hosts as well as the dedicated instances. So going forward, there is nothing much here, but this is important. As of now, we want to configure our instance before exactly at the time, or not before exactly at the time that is launched. So we can provide some user data as text or as file. So when our instance is launched, it will be directly configured with the data that we provide. So let us go ahead and create one shell script. So I'll be providing with the hashbang or the shebang as it is known as, and as I am working on AMI Linux, so it has the package manager as yum. So I'm going to go ahead and install the HTTPD package, and then I'm going to start the services or enable the services. And once that is done, I'm going to put some content in the var www.html index.html file. Then I'm going to go ahead and start the services. So this is it. Once we run this, our instance will be directly configured with the web server. So let us go to the next stage, that is storage. So in here we have the root storage, that is the default and mandatory storage that we require, and it is where our OS is installed. So something for the data, if you want to use, we can launch another EBS storage, and we can also go for, based on a requirement, we can go for general purpose provision with high IOPS, input output per second, or optimize HDD or magnetic, or whatever is our requirement based on our cost, based on our use case. We can go ahead and choose a volume type. So as of now, I don't require an extra EBS, just a root device will do, where our OS will be installed. So the next step would be to add tags. In here I'll just put a name tag, which will be my web OS, and we can add another tag. For example, it is deployed on our headquarters. So accordingly we can manage this based on the tags. For example, something regarding the headquarters or branch or whatever it is, something regarding the department. For example, this is for security purposes. So these are the tags that will help you identify the instance that you are launching. So for future purposes, these tags are going to help you a lot. So moving forward, we'll be going into the SG or the security group. In here I'm going to create a new security group. So if you have an existing security group, as I have few, so we can go ahead and use that as well. But as of now, I am going to create a new security group. I will choose anywhere. So accordingly, based on your requirement, if you want to provide some custom TCP rule with a custom port or the port range, and then you can choose for the custom IP or your IP, your base OS or public IP of your router, and you can choose anywhere. That will be that your instance can be connected for the type or for the rule that you provided from anywhere. So you can go ahead, choose the rules, HTTPS or SMTP or some other protocol that you feel like or are required. Or if you provide all traffic, your instance will be open to all kind of traffic, and all from, if you provide anywhere, so basically your instances will be vulnerable to everything. So this is not recommended, and we also got a warning for this. So if you are doing something which is very testing purposes, you want to test the security group, then it's all right, but it is not recommended to use all traffic, right? So we are going to go ahead with review and launch. So in here it gives a complete description of whatever you did until now. So as you can see, the AMI that I chose, the instance type, the security group, if I go for the instance details, that is there, the storage, the tags, and everything, right? So in here you can give a last checkup, and then once it is ready, you can go ahead and launch. So once you go forward to launch the EC2 instance, you will get a key pair option where you need to choose a key pair, or you can create a key pair. So you can choose an existing key pair. So this key pair will help you to access your instance if you are using a PuTTY, if you are using RDP, or if you are using SSH. So this key pair will help you connect with your instance. And whenever you create that key pair, so for example, if I create the key pair, I provided a name, test key. Please go ahead and download the key pair, and once it is downloaded, you can use it. So as of now, I already have a key pair. We have another option, proceed without key pair, but that is not recommended, right? So choosing a key pair, I will go with already an existing key pair, right? Now we are going to launch the instance. So as you can see, the instance is on the pending state, that it is launching. So the public IP is of the instance is this. If you go ahead, you can get all the detailed description here of the public IPv4 DNS and the instance details that you have provided, all the services related to this. You can go ahead in the security and you can get the rules that I have provided. If you want to edit, you can go ahead and edit your security group as well. From here you can edit the inbound rules, outbound rules, something like that if you want to change on the fly. For networking as well, all the necessary information regarding your networking for the IP addresses, the DNS name, the VPC, the subnet ID, everything is provided. Also, they have provided a storage section where the storage that are currently in use for your instance are provided here. Also, you can go ahead for the status checks that will show you that it is running, and depending on the monitoring that you have enabled. For us, we have used the normal monitoring or the free tier monitoring. So in here it will show us all the monitoring details. So if you go ahead and choose detailed monitoring, it will also show you the detailed description. We have also a section as tags. So in here we can see all the tags that are attached to our instance. So let us go ahead and connect with our instance, but before we connect, we need to allow another rule in the security group. We have allowed the HTTP port 80, as well as we need to provide the SSH. So we'll provide it from anywhere, and we'll save the rule. So now we'll go ahead and connect with our instance. So we'll use the browser connect, but if we require, we can also use the SSH connect, and all the steps that are required are provided here. For example, to be in the directory where our public key is there, to provide the permissions accordingly, and then run the command accordingly for the instance connect with the key pair name and the IP address. So we can do that, but as of now we are going to connect for the instance with the help of the browser. So as you can see, the connection is successful. We can also go ahead and check the content that we put in the var www.html directory, and so it is already configured beforehand. So with the help of the user data, we configured the HTTP server beforehand. So let us go back and let us check if we can connect, and if we can check our web page with the public IP address of the instance. So let us go ahead and select the IPv4 address, copy it, and as we have configured the HTTP server before the launch through the user data, so as of now our instance should be configured with the HTTP server. So we can see that it is configured, and the web page displays the content that we provided. So as and when you require, you can use the user data and configure something else, and when you launch the instance, it will be already configured with that. So with this, we come to the conclusion of this video. So thank you guys for watching this. We will be coming up with more new videos, so please subscribe, please like this, and provide your feedback on the comment.